similar rules that we have to stop Gyles and Alison falling out.
Yes.
As we talk through Monday's stories. That's a very nice couple of jumpers.
Well, we like to feel, but I'm wearing today what's known as a colour clash.
Ooh,
Yes.
you've got
What do you think?
raspberry
Is
in the
that
trouser
good?
department.
I think it's
like it.
My wife wasn't entirely
I
sure.
think it's brave. Should we
Well,
say that?
Indeed, I think
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
she said.
Juicy.
But
Summer fruit.
I'm celebrating the most wonderful weekend. You had a good weekend.
Yes.
One of our we only have one granddaughter, 6 grandsons, one granddaughter, so she can be the favourite.
Yes.
We've got one. She's our favourite granddaughter. She's the head girl of her school, and it was Parents' Day, speech day.
she was doing speech,
and she
I remember.
gave a speech, and it was. I mean, honestly, when we're talking about tears, it was just wonderful. It was wonderful. She was so good.
I'm proud of her.
Oh, so I mean, there's no pleasure so great, can I say, as having a wonderful grandchild and just seeing that. No responsibility, we just pleasure and pride.
Yeah.
So well.
Well, we're going to find out how much you spend on her later, aren't we?
The cost of being a grandparent
per day.
is soaring.
Yes.
That's one of the stories we'll be talking about.
But for our first story today, we're discussing the breaking news coming out of Australia this morning, where a 50-year-old woman has been found guilty of murdering 3 of her relatives after serving them a beef Wellington laced with poisonous mushrooms.
It sounds like the plot of an Agatha Christie, doesn't it? But it's not. It actually happened following an intense 9-week trial. The jury found that mum of 2, Erin Patterson, used the beef Wellington to murder her elderly in-laws and her ex-husband's aunt. Another relative recovered after a stay in hospital.
Our crime expert David Wilson has been following this case closely. What do you think of the verdict, David?
Well, I thought it was the right verdict. One of the things that really surprised me as the case became a kind of global phenomenon was the number of people that said to me that they thought she was innocent. What I really enjoyed about the trial, though, was A, how well defended she was, and B, how it brings into focus the need for a jury to be convinced beyond reasonable doubt that the person that's charged with murder should be found guilty of murder. And I think that really was what really came across very strongly. The jury took this matter very seriously, the court took it very seriously, and I personally think they came to the right decision.
So it's interesting you said that you thought she was very well defended. The defence team tried to argue that it was a cookery mistake. She hadn't intended to use these mushrooms that were laced with poisonous elements and factors. What did you make of that defence?
Well, that was a very clever defence because she never denied that the 3 people who died as a result of eating the beef Wellington and the person who survived who had eaten the beef Wellington, she never denied that they had died as a result of what it was that she cooked. But she claimed it was a tragic mistake, an error for which she felt great remorse. Now, that's her defence, an accident, as opposed to the fact that you need to prove in a murder case mens rea, the Latin phrase for a guilty mind, the intention to cause harm to the victim. And so her defence was she was holding her hand up. You know, look, they did die, but I didn't mean for them to die, and it was up to the prosecution to prove that she had mens rea.
Do you think she'll spend the rest of her life behind bars, David?
In Australia, their life sentence is for 15 to 25 years, but occasionally it is possible for the judge to pass a sentence, which is what we would call in this country a whole life tariff. There are a number of victims here, 3 who died and 1 who was very close to death. And so we're at the upper end of the sentence that she will receive. And remember, she is already in her 50s. So even a sentence in the upper end of 25 years is going to mean she spends a significant period of the rest of her life behind bars.
It is. I said in the sort of introduction, it seems like a plot from an Agatha Christie, you know, lacing the food with deadly mushrooms. But we have been particularly obsessed with this case. What is it that's pricked your interest so much, David?
Oh, good question. And I think 2 things. Firstly, you know, as a species, humans have evolved by being able to differentiate between those foodstuffs which we can eat in the wild and those foodstuffs that are going to cause us harm. So it's riven into human DNA that we should avoid things that are poisonous. And indeed, there's a phrase, toxophobia. And if you think about history, there have been infamous poisoning cases throughout our history because human beings are so absolutely centred on being able to eat things that are healthy. The second thing is what you're touching on. Quite apart from that evolutionary psychological point, Ben, there's a zeitgeist point, isn't there? There's a zeitgeist of cosy crime. You know, we're going to be watching the Thursday Murder Club in the very near future. And this idea, here's a little old lady in a small Victorian town in southern Australia. Could she really have set out to kill her in-laws? Of course she did.
It's fascinating, David, thank you. I mean, Alison, you've worked in newspapers all your life. It's the sort of story that editors will really want to get their teeth into because the readers will be voracious over it.
Yes, I think it's because you've got that human drama. So there's the actual crime, but it's the personalities behind it and what elevates it into something that really captures the imagination.
And the estranged husband as well, cancelling the day before too. There's like all these different elements.
Plot twists.
It's curious because it's very grim. It is murder. But at the same time, we're fascinated. I mean, I think there is a movie of this very story already being slated.
Is it really? Someone's written the screenplay.
Wow. I wonder if there's a movie about bonuses for airport workers. Probably not. I don't think anybody would go and see it.
There could be a carry-on.
Bravo! That's very good for a Monday.
Whip smart. According to a leaked email, staff working at various UK airports have been paid bonuses for each oversized bag they spot passengers trying to sneak onto the plane. I think it's about £1.20, Gyles.
I think we can name names here. Swissport, that's the aviation company operating passenger gates at airports, they're actually earning these cash bonuses, or giving them, for every EasyJet passenger spotted travelling with an oversized bag. This apparently has been happening at Birmingham, Glasgow, Jersey and Newcastle. The idea is that the workers who are there supervising it all, they get paid around the minimum wage, around £12 an hour. They can get a bonus of £1.20 if they say, I see an overweight bag there, thank you. And because they charge extra for a bag that goes up there, and even more, I think up to £48 for one that has to be removed and put into the hold.
Oh,
so it's the thing that if you don't sort of, when you're booking on, when you sort of buy your flight, at that point you can maybe pay as little as £5.99 for a slightly bigger bag in the cabin. But if you go slightly too big, then you could be up to sort of £50. And it's just the annoyance that then you have to go through the whole rigmarole of getting the bag taken away.
Simon Calder will explain this later, because one of the frustrations is my children, and indeed grandchildren, often say, oh, I've got a flight to somewhere in Eastern Europe, and, you know, it's only 50 quid. You find it hard to believe. But then they turn up with their bags and their things, and everything is extra.
The additional costs.
The food is extra.
Everything.
So are we, Alison, a little bit perturbed by the fact that the workers are being incentivised to try and spot the people that are getting bags that are too big to go into the cabin?
Well, I think it's difficult because it is very annoying as well. If you're queuing up to get on a plane and you see some people have clearly got bags that are too big and you think, well, they're going to take up all the overhead locker space. They're going to barge everybody out the way. So in a way, you shouldn't really be doing that. You should sort of stick to the rules.
So you don't mind it then?
Well, I think it's really annoying when you get on a plane and all the space is
I've been at
gone.
the airport, seen people going to Benidorm as though they're moving house. They've been renting refrigerators, the freezer and everything. When I go on one of these cheap flights, the whole point is it's a cheap flight, I go with underpants in one pocket and spare socks in the other. That's it.
Wow,
That
you
is
are
it.
prepared,
And
girls.
then it's marvellous. And then you can buy a newspaper or a paperback book.
Maybe a toothbrush as well, Gyles.
I travel with that in the back of my pocket anyway.
Back pocket, okay.
Back
Always.
pocket, that one.
But you can get a lot of things the other end. That's
Yeah,
right.
it's always
My
quite
wife
expensive.
says that, frankly, just take as little as possible. If we need something, get a T-shirt over there.
We had Alice Beer on, though, on Thursday, and she was talking about them maybe taking away those.
Changing the rules.
Yes, so that's good news, because I've been caught out on this before, but with Ryanair, because you're allowed to take even less stuff with Ryanair than you are with EasyJet. So it's difficult.
It's the judging it as well, I find, a bit.
I think Ryanair recently announced changes to their cabin bag policy to increase the volume by 20% to bring it in line with EU standards. Let's move on to another holiday story, because apparently our happiness post-holiday lasts, according to the University of Georgia, 6 weeks once you've returned home, Alison.
It's great news, this, isn't it? And what's quite interesting about it is that the longer you go on holiday doesn't necessarily impact how long you feel good afterwards. So even just a few days, if you really wind down, you cut off all access to work, you don't think about work, you can, like, if you go on holiday at the last 2 weeks in August, you could still be feeling great towards the end of October.
How long does your happiness last once you're home, Giles?
This is true. I'm happiest at home. This is true. We sometimes have holidays at home, and we put, if it's raining, as it often is, but not this year, we have deck chairs that we put in the sitting room.
Oh.
We bring the picnic from outside and have it in the kitchen, with sitting on the picnic basket.
Yeah.
You can actually create a holiday at home. That's my view.
6 weeks, I last about 6 steps. Once I've got home, off the plane, 6 steps, and I'm like, oh...
The airport will sometimes knock the relaxation out of you.
It is a bit worrying, this report, because there are days where the first day back at work after holiday, you feel absolutely atrocious, don't you?
Yeah. Or if you've been through the airport and you've had flight delays and things like that, you're a bit...
Paid extra for your
But
baggage.
do you ever have the other thing, which is anticlimax when you get on holiday? The anticipation has been so great. When you arrive, it doesn't quite work out.
Oh, a glass of rosé will fix that.
Never.
Really?
Yeah.
My wife is never happy with the room we've got. Never.
she not?
I don't think
Why?
we've ever... I hope she's not watching. We have never stayed in the room that we booked.
So you always find a new one? But you can
we always arrive. Well, now, I'm already readying myself for it. I don't even want her to open the door. I stand behind, wait for Jim. Oh, this isn't quite right. We asked for this view. It hasn't quite... I don't know. Is the air conditioning working? How do we make the...
Is the view better somewhere else?
Oh.
And does she normally get what she wants?
Always.
Oh, we should get her on this show. Let's get her on this
But
show.
who is going down to reception and doing all this?
Muggins?
Yes. It's exhausting, isn't it?
Gyles and Alison are back with us to talk through more of Monday's headlines.
And today marks 20 years since the 7/7 terrorist attacks in London, where 52 people lost their lives and hundreds more were injured.
King Charles has marked the occasion by calling on people to stand united against those who would seek to divide us. Gyles, it's an incredibly important thing to remember the horrific events of that day.
And I think this is one of the days when it's marvellous, in a sense, to have somebody like King Charles, who is above party politics, just speaking for everybody, and very much his kind of approach. As we remember those we lost, 52 people, 770 at least injured, let's use this 20th anniversary to reaffirm our commitment to building a society where people of all faiths and backgrounds can live together with mutual respect and understanding, always standing firm against those who would seek to divide us. And that's so totally what he is about, and what a commemoration like today should be about. And there's going to be a service later today at St Paul's Cathedral, which will sort of re-emphasise that.
There's a remarkable documentary on Netflix at the moment,
It's incredible.
Alison, that is really gripping to understand what happened. And they speak to the victims and those people that were involved, the first responders. We had Dan Biddle and Adrian Hiley on the show last week. It was extraordinary
heroes.
to meet those two and hear what they had been through. The horrific injuries that Dan suffered and the life-changing experience for both of them. Their concern is that people will forget.
I know, and I think so often when something like this happens, it becomes a huge story. But that's why it is so important. And Sir Keir Starmer and Sadiq Khan this morning laid wreaths at 10 to 9, which is the exact time that first bomb went off. Because so many lives, it's just such a poignant moment, because all those people that lost their lives or were terribly injured, but for those families and the repercussions of children who grew up without parents because they happened to be on those trains or that bus that morning. And I think it was the first really horrific case of this kind of terrorism on British soil, and I think it woke us up to what this could be like, and I think we continue to live with that fear to this day.
Yeah, I mean, Adrian was such a hero, and he wasn't the only... He ran into the train, helping people time and time again. Those first responders...
Incredibly brave.
Incredibly brave. OK, let's talk about being a grandparent. Gyles, you said how incredibly proud you were.
My favourite granddaughter, my only granddaughter. I have, though, as you can see, 7 grandchildren. My wife and I have 7 grandchildren. We're so proud of them all. 6 boys, 1 girl, all remarkable young people, great achievers, and a huge expense. Let's face it. People sometimes say, why are you still working? I've discovered over the years that money is the one thing keeping me in touch with my grandchildren.
Well, also, if you've got, like... So how many have you got of them? 6? 7?
We've got 7 of them in all.
7?
Starting at Keo at the top and Atticus at the bottom right. And I can remember all the names, which is fantastic.
Well, that's very good.
I can't remember all the birthdays. We have got a little sign inside one of the kitchen cabinets. We thought to put it on the fridge would be too obvious, so we can quickly check what age they are.
Can you remember how much you spend on them every day, though? Because currently the average is £21 and 5 pence every day. I mean, that's going a very long way there.
Yeah, if you're looking after them.
If you're looking after them. Well, and that's gone up. That's what's interesting, how much it's gone up in the last year. But we've all noticed that. We went to the pub at the weekend. I can't tell you how expensive
Yeah.
a very nice pub meal is compared with a year ago.
Or your shopping bill has gone up as well.
It's quite terrifying.
Yeah.
But to be honest, what are grandparents for? But to be used by their children.
Yes.
The joy of having grandchildren is so great because you have the joy without the responsibility, and it's a pleasure to spend time with them, and you can learn such a lot from them.
Yeah.
So whatever the cost, whatever you've got, you can't take it with you, so you might as well spend it on the grandchildren now.
My mum loves it. She loves giving them a fiver and going, there's your ice cream money.
But it cost a fiver for an ice cream.
Yeah, it
so
does.
you can see why it's gone up so much. But I think coming up to the 6 weeks holiday, there are so many grandparents that help out with child. I mean, my parents were fantastic, helped out with my children a little, and it does save huge amounts of money if you're actually paying for holiday clubs or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's talk about working styles. Alison used to run a very busy newsroom. Would you ever have any journalists or colleagues that perhaps turned up, looked exceptionally busy, but perhaps weren't doing as much as they should have been doing?
I think there were just maybe one or two occasions. There was an old trick which always meant, like, the men did it particularly. They'd take their jacket off, put it on the back of the chair, and then some could be gone for hours, some perhaps even days before they returned. But no.
And because the jacket was on the chair, everyone thought they were busy
there.
investigating something.
That was in the old days. Things have changed.
So
lots.
ghost working.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit what ghost working is?
So this is this phenomena where people are apparently present in the office, but they're not necessarily doing that much work. So it's apparently the people that they're not feeling trusted to get on with their work, and they're feeling micromanaged. And so as a response to that, they are pretending to work when they're not actually
I'm
working.
rather shocked, as you know, in the 1990s I was a member of Parliament before this existed. I'm shocked to see that now in the House of Commons, the chamber of the House of Commons, people are scrolling on their mobile phones, and the Speaker allows this. My feeling is that the point of the House of Commons in the chamber is you're supposed to be listening to the debate, contributing to the debate, listening to the questions and the answers. I see them. Are they all ghost workers sitting there, you know, flicking through?
But where it's difficult, I think, now is because people can appear to be working because they're tapping away on their computer or whatever, but they could actually just be looking at, you know, a website, or they could be scrolling
I
through
think the
Instagram
argument
on their
from
phone.
some of those MPs have been, sorry, Alison, has been that they are looking for relevant points to make about what's being said. So they're looking up. I mean, as we know, one particular MP wasn't looking at that sort of stuff.
He was looking for farming equipment.
Yeah. That's exactly what he was looking for. But there are one or two who've turned around and said, like, right, OK, with regards to what you've just said,
Yes.
honourable gentleman and lady is...
So, and I think that's probably fair. I think it's because it's quite different now. There's no sort of clear demarcation between work and perhaps not work.
As well as ghost working, have you heard about revenge quitting?
I know.
This is an interesting phenomenon. 1 in 7 people admit to revenge quitting. This is where an employee walks out at the most inconvenient time. So it's been lovely knowing you all. Thank you very much indeed.
Giles, don't come back and talk about wedding photos.
Who's going to pay for the grandkids if you storm out?
Yes, exactly. £20.75
So it was my
each.
friend Nobby's 50th birthday yesterday. We went to the Oval.
Happy birthday, Nobby.
We watched Essex beat Surrey with the last ball of the over. There were 10 of us there. I would say there's about 7 people ghost working right now.
Sure. Taking a Nurofen and quietly
The worrying
sitting
thing
there.
is 6 of them were doctors underneath of this as well.
So, yeah, that is a worry, yeah.
Oh, dear. Well, let's talk about wedding photos. A video has gone viral for a key wedding photo moment that's gone terribly, terribly wrong. Talk about timing. Have a look at this. All that money was spent on
choreography. The bride and groom have gone for their move. They know it's going to happen, and then...
She has a vision in fuchsia.
But she's not even, I don't think, the mother of the bride, is she?
Oh, really?
Well, maybe she is. I don't know who she is.
Mother-in-law.
And also,
maybe?
to be fair to her, I think she was trying to get out of the way, and then just unfortunately the wrong way.
I mean, can you imagine how much time and expense has gone into that? They've choreographed that, they've worked out beautifully.
Fireworks.
And there she is.
But this is so memorable, isn't it?
Slap bang in the middle.
You want to
Yes.
see this again and again and again. And what a vision in... What is
Fuchsia.
it?
Yes.
Fuchsia.
We've had some lovely moments. Sarah sent us this. It was a very well-organised alpaca's eating her flowers just at the moment of
We've
sharing.
got this one from Grace.
Alpaca at a wedding. It's
yes,
unusual,
why not?
Unusual
Could
wedding.
spit at anybody. We played wedding tug of war, boys versus girls, and needless to say, the girls won.
I love that. Look at that. That's
handsome
commitment.
They all are in the
Kelly,
picture.
this is a picture of the wedding party. It made the professional photos. Have we got this one? Oh, no, that's Rianne. There's Kelly, but if we zoom in...
Oh, no.
You've got to remember the 3 Ps at weddings.
What are they?
Pacing, passing and pausing on the champagne
Booze.
front.
I'm not sure there's been any booze, has there?
pacing.
You have the 3 Ps. Can't go wrong.
Gyles and Alison, thank you. Gyles, we're thrilled that you didn't rage quit or revenge quit.
I'm here. And I'm not ghost working.
No, you're
They're
not.
always
commitment-
working.
Oh, hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.